Okay, welcome everybody to the next part of the Halacha Series, the Shulchan Aruch series. And if I'm not mistaken, we are now on number 7, that would be Zion. So it starts off like this. Let me just look at it real quick. Yeah. Hametil mayim min hatzoifim v'lifnim. This is similar to the idea that we spoke about last week. In fact, I think we might have actually spoken about it, but the idea is that when you're in Yerushalayim and you're within the close proximity of the Temple Mount, where the temple should be, the presence is still there, so one should not urinate facing the Temple Mount. Okay, now if you're beyond, you cannot see it, you're at a distance where you cannot see it, you're on the outskirts of town, so to speak, so then it's not really a problem. I'll just read again in Hebrew. Perush, what does it mean? Makom sheyecholim lirois misham harabayis, the place that you're able to see, physically see the Temple Mount. Umisham bo'ola ein yecholim lirois, but from that point onward, wherever it is you cannot see, it shouldn't be a problem. Lo yeshev upanav kalpei kodesh, and when it comes to what's the word? So we spoke about urinating, but there's we'll call it number 2, right? So okay, here he says if you actually should sit when you urinate and turn your face away. You shouldn't be facing the Holy of Holies. But nevertheless, keep in mind that we have bathrooms that have walls. We'll call them mechitzot, and once you have that, it's not a problem. But if you were a builder, for example, they built our yeshiva in the old city, and they made sure that the bathrooms themselves were not actually facing in the direction of Har HaBayit, so they were north and south, not east and west. So if you were building your own home, so maybe outright you would want to do it, but you don't have to uproot all your pipes and everything. Once you have the walls, it's really not an issue. Okay. Number 8. So let's say you were outside in the field. Sometimes people are field workers, right? They're picking vegetables or whatnot, or they're just on a hike. So the same idea here is imhu achrei hageder. If there actually is some kind of, I will call it a tree, a big rock, some kind of a wall, some kind of a barrier. So that's where one should go to the bathroom. Bipanamiyah. But what about like a valley where there's not a lot of structures? It's like people can see from a higher, standpoint, right? If you see a valley, you can see people down in the valley. It means you can at least see them. So you should distance yourself. You should go to a distance where people cannot see your nakedness. Okay, number 9. Lo yeshe b'mehera u'b'chayzek. When you're doing a number 2, you shouldn't attempt to free yourself time-wise and push or force yourself in a strong sense. Below ye'enos lidchoch atzmo yoter midah. You shouldn't push yourself and force yourself more than is necessary. Shlo yinatek shinei hakar kashta, so you don't get hemorrhoids. You don't ruin your body. You have to keep your body healthy. First of all, what you eat is going to determine also whether or not you get sick, stomach pains, diarrhea, and whatnot. So that's also a very important thing, to have a healthy diet, so that you don't have to. So you're not constipated on one hand, or getting shilshul. Shilshul means diarrhea on the other hand. Okay, number 10 sounds very strange. Now, we already discussed this idea of where we put on our tefillin, which shoe to put on first. So he says here, Lo yikanach biyad yamin. You're not supposed to wipe yourself. You're not supposed to use your right hand to wipe yourself. Now, many discuss this idea was all before we had toilet paper. Say, we have toilet paper, so many say it's not really a problem. But consciously, the idea of the right hand, okay, I'm left-handed. So if I was a right-handed person, right, I would be putting my tefillin on my weak hand, which is my left hand, but I'm doing the mitzvah with my right hand. So since I'm doing the mitzvah with my right hand, and not only that, when I teach Torah, I point with my finger, with my right hand, and I do a lot of things. When someone else is reading from the Torah, there's a trump, there's a sing-song, there's a certain code of when to raise your voice, when to stop.
Cadence.
The cantillation points. And we use the right hand to make those markings. So you're using the right hand all the time with Torah, so you shouldn't use that hand to do something like this, okay? But since we have toilet paper, some say it's really not a problem. Okay. But okay. Then also the middle finger of your other hand. Because when I put on my tefillin, I'm lefty, so everything's opposite. But I would put my tefillin on my left arm, right? You guys would put your tefillin on your left arm. And around the middle finger is where the straps go, because we talk about we're marrying God, like a ring finger on a bride, and we speak about our engagement and our marriage and our love and our intimate relationship with God as we wrap the strap around that middle finger, which is, okay, it's not exactly where people put their wedding rings, but that's where we put our wedding ring with God, and we use the strap in that sense. So it's the right hand, the entire right hand, and the middle finger on the left hand. For me, it's the complete opposite. Okay, just so we're not confused. I would like to read the Mishnah Berurah on that, and it's down below. I don't. Some of you have the Hebrew, I think. So he says, "Biyad yamin b'bnei shekoyshe batfilin ad zeroa hasmali." Why the right hand? Because it's the right hand you use to tie the tefillin on your left arm. And he says, see other reasons that are brought down in the Gemara. And then he says, Tov li zaher milakaneach be'etzba ha'emtzai shekorech alav ha'rutzua. The best thing is to be careful from using that middle finger, from wiping yourself, because you use it, you wind the tefillin straps around it. And he says a left-handed person does the opposite. Yad, it's called an iter yad. An iter yad, I like to say Yiddish, it's obviously Aramaic, but anyway, the iter yad, the left-handed person, shekol in yonav oisei b'smol. He does everything in the opposite direction. He's mekaneach b'smol didei shu yamin shel kol adam. His left hand is the left hand of everyone else, which means it's his right hand. Okay. And how do we determine what hand you are? In other words, it's not just this. It's when you walk in the tefillah. Okay, are you left-handed, right-handed, or are you left-footed or right-footed? When you're playing guard in soccer, that's called football for non-Americans. When you're playing soccer, are you lefty or righty? So this is going to determine when you walk forward into your prayers, you're using your strong. Even though we do talk about this idea of the right is mercy and the left is judgment, you've heard this probably a million times, not just from me, but from anything else you've been listening to. There is this idea, but sometimes it's usurped by what is stronger. Sometimes it's what's stronger, and sometimes we're relying on the mercy judgment aspect. So when we walk into the prayer, so you have the right foot moving forward. When you're walking out of the prayer, it's the left foot that moves backward first. Okay, so there's a lot of things we're going to learn along the way, and it's every halacha, every detail, I promise you, is to bring God consciousness into your life. It's not a ritual that is okay, it's just so dry and meaningless and robotic, but it's even when you're in the bathroom in this room where there nobody else is except you and God, and you're thinking about what's holy and what's not holy, even though we're not supposed to we don't pray, we don't do Torah in the bathroom, but all of our actions are modest and full of God consciousness. Okay? Any questions at this point? I was wondering whether or not to skip number 11, because it's not really relevant at all today, because we do have, what is it? We use toilet paper. Okay, but there is something interesting at the very end when it's discussing what could be used to clean yourself. It says, we follow the saying, go out and see what the public practice is. It's a very awkward statement to bring right here, because as we already said, there's a very private experience, and it could be quite embarrassing. Why would someone go and check out what everyone's doing? It doesn't literally mean to actually see with your own eyes. It could be to interview people. It could be, because the truth is the truth, and we want to know it. And the most private of practices, if you want to know the truth, so you have to ask the right questions to the right people. Ask, go out and find out what is the practice. Okay, let's go to number 12. He says, Yepane b'tzniut balayla kamo b'yom. You're in a dark room where it's night and there's not a lot of people around. Maybe you have an outhouse and you think you have total privacy because it's at night. Don't assume anything. Never assume. First of all, you should be tsanua. You should have a modest aura around you at all times, and not let, what do they call, let everything hang out. I don't know, whatever. Okay. Number 13, Yud Gimel. I think I skipped something. No, Yud Gimel. Lo yashtin mu'umad mibnei tznitzot hanitanzin. Okay, this is a very Arab. This is a very interesting concept. You see a halacha that's so strange, right? Make sure when you go to the bathroom, you're not really standing. Remember this? You're talking about women don't stand, but men end up standing in most cases. We already said when you sit down, you may have the feeling of needing to go to the bathroom. It's best to sit down. Obviously, men cannot do that at all times, time-wise, whatever. Anyway, but what happens is if you urinate in a very high place, you're like off of a cliff, urinating off a cliff, or onto ground that will absorb the urine, that's not going to be a problem, as you can see, the rest of the halacha here. But what happens when you're urinating on a stone and it's splattering on your shoes, or right, if you're standing up in a urinal, if you're not close enough, you will make a mess. But the mess is unbelievable. I mean, you got to be able to hold on to your seats when you hear this. That if you urinate on your shoes and other people see the urine spots on your shoes, they're going to think that your kids are mamzerim. Okay, that's a new word. A mamzer is a child not just born out of wedlock, but born out of a forbidden relationship. Or, meaning really, I should say, real simply, that your kids are not your kids. Your wife was with another man. How can that be? How can that be? If they see the urine on your shoes, they know your kids are bastards, that your kids are not your kids. So we have to be careful. I'll answer this in a second. We have to be careful even about when we urine and where the drops end up. Hey, guy. Because those drops could end up on our shoes, and because what happens is this, and I think they've proven it somewhat in science, but basically, if you don't shoot like an arrow, we're talking about during sex, during lovemaking, if your hole on the top of the member is not straight, maybe it's off to the side, or you're not able to, the strength of the stream of semen is not that strong to shoot like an arrow straight in, so then straight up to where it needs to go, so then you are probably someone who cannot have children. And if you have children, so then you have this urine on your shoes, people will think, well, he's incapable, he's infertile, right? Impotent. And yet he's got kids, so it must be that his wife was with someone else. Now this sounds like the most craziest thing to be concerned about. Trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet, okay? That we're so concerned about people speaking lashon hara about our own children. Of course, that's our own children. About us, about our wives. That will make sure that when it comes to time to go to the bathroom, when you walk out, go straight to the shoe shine guy. You know, you walk out of a nice bathroom in a hotel, they got some kind of, when you put a quarter in, there's a shoe shine. You know what I mean? Anyway, you might have to use extra toilet paper and clean yourself. But it sounds crazy. Okay, but this is what we're concerned about. And I want to just read it in the Hebrew, so you see at the bottom it says Yud Gimel, Kaf Gimel, Arag Lav, V'yomru Shukarut Shifcha, that he's not capable of having children. She'ein Meimei Roglav Mekalchin Ele Shotatin, that even his urine cannot shoot out like a shower, but it's just drip, drip, drip. Karut Shifcha Eino Moli, because someone who is of this type of category cannot have children. Yomer Abanav She'enum Shalo. They're going to say about his own kids, they're going to say about his kids, they don't belong to him. It's like, oh, well, okay. Baruch Hashem. Okay. The next one is 14. So, Yizayir Shalo Echos Ba'oma V'yashtin. When a man goes to the bathroom, he should be very careful where he holds his member. So, it's only on the very upper top. And this is if he is not married. So I'm just close that. Okay, you guys still there? Someone texted me. If he's married, we're less concerned where he holds his member. All this makes sense. So we have to teach our children, our boys, how to go to the bathroom, and that it's forbidden to masturbate. And why? Because that means seed goes out for nothing. Seed is to bring life into the world. And if we are not careful, we may arouse ourselves and get carried away. Okay, so, but he does say, all this Elim Kain, Hu Nesui, unless he's married. Because if he's married, we have a concept called that his bread is in his basket, which means he's satisfied. I mean, whatever that means. You can use your imagination, and he's not hungry. But the truth is, someone wants to be pious, even if they are married, they shouldn't touch their member even there. Then number 15, that even someone who is someone who's not married is still permitted to touch, we call the testicles, the bag of eggs underneath. We call it, right? That's what we call it. How does he translate it? Testes. Okay. Testes. And now there's another idea brought down, but he doesn't say, number 16. Lo hutar lenusui echos ve'ema ela lahashtin lihitchachek lo. Again, it's the same idea. Here he says, even a married man is only permitted to hold his member while urinating, but is certainly not permitted to rub it. Now, I tell you, we're on camera, it's okay. I will tell you, there are a lot of laws, and intimacy is supposed to be extremely enjoyable, and we'll have to do another class on that. There's a lot of foreplay that is permissible, and I'll leave it at that for now. Okay. If a man holds in his urine, it could actually make him impotent. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's actually permissible for a man in the middle of the street. I'm sure you've seen it, driving down the highway, so you should be modest. You leave the door open not on the street side, not on the highway side, or find a tree, but it's very, misukan. It's dangerous for a man to hold in his urine. It can make him impotent, which is a sin. It's a sin to make yourself impotent. I know there's a very popular thing nowadays. I think it's called vasectomies and different types of things like that. Maybe there's pills for it. I don't know. But anyway, it's problematic. When it comes to holding in number 2, so that's called bat shatzu. In other words, don't make yourself disgusting. You're not allowed to make yourself disgusting. And by holding this in is violation of one of the 613 commandments. I'll give you an example. You're not allowed to make yourself disgusting. You can't be disgusting to others also. Baal Tashaktu. For example, you're not supposed to pick your nose in public. I know it happens a lot when you come to a red light and you see people. That's the best time, I think, that people find. But
They think they're alone.
unless you have tinted windows, no, seriously, it's like there's anything that you do that could gross somebody else out, you're violating one of the 613 commandments of Baal Tashaktu. You shall not become disgusting, or be disgusting or disgusted. Okay, so that ends today's fabulous Halacha series, and we'll continue next week.
Shulchan